Snape, Snape, Severus Snape, 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 Severus Snape, Dumbledore! Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I want to talk about the movie Fantastic Beasts, The Secrets of Dumbledore. Directed by David Yates, who's done many of the other Harry Potter films and The Legend of Tarzan, this film is the third installment in the Fantastic Beasts trilogy. The synopsis is as follows. Professor Albus Dumbledore knows the powerful dark wizard Gellert Grindelwald is moving to seize control of the wizarding world. Unable to stop him alone, he entrusts magizoologist Newt Scamander to lead an intrepid team of wizards and witches. They soon encounter an array of old and new beasts as they clash with Grindelwald's growing legion of followers. There was quite a bit of attention drawn around this film outside of the film itself, which can be a really good thing or a really bad thing for a movie. Without further ado, let's get into the 6 things that make a movie great. 1. The plot. After watching this film, my friend and I both said at the exact same time the one word that we would use to describe the plot, and that word was scattered. Somewhere in this film is a plot line about Grindelwald and how he's wanting to wage war on the Muggle world. He believes that Muggles are inferior to magical beings, and he basically wants to eradicate them. There's many political gatherings and a political struggle between different parties to try to get the vote from the people. There's something there, and they could have done something with that, but instead, this movie bases its entire worth on the reveal of both Dumbledore and Grindelwald being homosexuals. This film spends a lot of time focusing on their relationship, the fallout of their relationship, how they can't attack one another because of a blood pact that they made, all while making it very obvious that they were in a romantic relationship. And after talking with several people who have read all of the books, which I haven't had the opportunity to do yet, apparently it was implied that Dumbledore was in fact gay, to a certain extent, but to come out and state it for a fact and make that reveal the main plot point of this film, I think was a mistake. But in addition to that, the strategy of the team that is going against Grindelwald is countersight. They understand that Grindelwald himself has foresight, so he can see the future and knows what's going to happen, and thus is able to foil their plans before they happen. So their plan is to not have a plan, which again is an interesting concept in and of itself, but it was very sloppily delivered in this film. So I think that this movie focused on the wrong things for its plot, and it ended up making the film overall very scattered. So plot gets a thumbs down. 2 is family friendliness. There is casting of spells, there is action, there's violence, there's very, very minimal language. But the thing that caught my attention in this film specifically involved the murdering of a creature, specifically a baby creature. Like, I get that we have to know that Grindelwald is evil and that this is a huge part of the plot, but Grindelwald cuts the throat of a baby animal, and we watch very close up and very intimately as this animal bleeds out and as the initial cut is made. And it did shock me a little bit that this made the cut. But really, the rest is up to your own discretion. It's just that moment specifically was so gruesome that it really tipped the scales a little bit in this section of the film. I have to give family friendliness a 50-50. 3 is acting and script. Another one of the big things surrounding this film was the recasting of Grindelwald himself. Mads Mikkelsen is an excellent actor. While I actually preferred Mads Mikkelsen for this role, I understand it can be a bit jarring for people who just started to get committed to Johnny Depp playing this role, especially considering that in the first film, Colin Farrell was playing this role. It really just makes it feel like this character was played by 3 different actors at different points through these films. And that's really difficult for a lot of people to see past, but for all intents and purposes, Mads Mikkelsen did a great job. The one who stole the show for me was Jacob. Dan Fogler does a really great job of bringing this character to life on screen, and it was a lot of fun to watch. Eddie Redmayne does a great job as well. There was a moment in this film where I found myself dying laughing laughing along with everyone else in the theater, and it just continued for several minutes because of his performance. On the other hand, there's a character named Professor Hicks, and she had one of the worst accents that I have ever heard in my life. It was very distracting in the film, and it was kind of like, what even is this? And paired with the scattered plot is a bad script. Sure, the bare bones were there, and there were some cool moments, but those moments were not enough to save this film from being scattered and very poorly put together. Acting and script gets a thumbs down. 4 is character development. By this third film, we really understand and have grown to love the heart of Newt Scamander and his love and tenderness towards the animals that he's watching over. That does continue in this film, and getting to see his insight into how to deal with animals and how he treats them is, in my opinion, what made all of these films enjoyable. But because this film takes a big step away from a lot of that, we don't really get to see as much character development with him as I would like. The relationship between him and Catherine Waterston goes absolutely nowhere. In fact, she just makes a cameo in this film, and that's all we get. And it's almost the same with Jacob and Queenie. We barely get to see any of their relationship build in this film at all, and it's kind of a bummer because those relationships made the previous films really fun and interesting. And like I said, this movie spent a ton of time on the relationship between Dumbledore and Grindelwald, focusing on their romance and the fallout, but it still didn't even do that relationship justice. And to me, the biggest disappointing story arc of them all was with Credence. He's a very interesting character, and by the end of this film you find out some very interesting things about him, but they barely do any development with him at all, and it was really disappointing. There were some really interesting moments in this film and some characters that I wish they would have focused on more, and a lot of the new characters or side characters that got more screen time in this film were not developed at all. So I have to give character development a thumbs down. 5 is visuals and CGI. What I really enjoy about the later Harry Potter films and the Fantastic Beasts films is that when they're in the middle of a violent conflict and they're casting spells really quickly, we really get to see some cool visuals in the casting of spells. There is a time and a place for slow-mo, and there's a couple moments in this film that use slow-mo, but one of my favorite things to see on screen is just to see a scene go full speed in the casting of magic back and forth between different people. All the rest of the CGI, including the creature CGI, was really great. Visuals and CGI get a thumbs up. And 6 is rewatchability. To be completely honest, looking back at the previous 2 films, I didn't think they were anything amazing. I thought they were enjoyable, but this film is by far the worst of all 3. While it may have had the potential to close up a lot of these story arcs and bring a lot of things to fruition, it decided to focus on something that wasn't even brought up until this film. And while I was in the theater, though there were several funny moments, I was just wondering when the movie was going to be over. Especially with a runtime of 2 hours and 23 minutes, you feel every minute of this film, and it's to its detriment because of how scattered it is. So I have to give rewatchability a thumbs down. With all areas of this film considered, I have to give Fantastic Beasts: The Secrets of Dumbledore a 5 out of 10. This movie had some hilarious moments, it had some decent acting, it had some great CGI and visuals, but because of the direction they decided to go with this film, the plot fell flat on its face, and much of the story and many of the characters all felt scattered and misused, which is really disappointing because this film had a lot of potential. Thank you so much for watching. If you've seen Fantastic Beasts: The Secrets of Dumbledore, please let me know what you thought about it in the comments below. As always, I appreciate your love and support, and I'll catch you guys and gals in the next one.